Lonzo Ball, man. I remember he first got into the league, man. You know, the talk about him, the talks surrounding him wasn't necessarily great, I would say, you know. And that's unfortunate. I rocked with him, you know. He was in high school with him and his brother, him and his brothers. And, you know, when he got to the league, it seemed like, you know, the public just wasn't really rocking with, like, his ball playing abilities. You feel me? This video is called The Unfortunate Career of Lonzo Ball. Man, let's see what's going on with Lonzo Ball these days, though. You know, maybe it's gotten better. Judging by the title, it's unlikely. Let's get into it, guys.
Lonzo Ball was supposed to be a superstar, and for a while he was, in part because of his great play, since he averaged a triple-double on one of the best high school teams ever, and then dominated at UCLA. But for the most part, Lonzo was a star because of his father's ability to talk and make everybody listen. In 2017, LeVar Ball became a media sensation, with preposterous claims that he could beat Michael Jordan one-on-one.
Why would you say something so blasphemous? In my heyday, he would need help. One-on-one, I'm undefeated, never lost.
And
now, you know, it's just absurd. Sure, absolutely, you can make that that statement. But man, y'all heard what I said about Julian and Jaden Newman? Bro, I rock with this kind of like attitude, though. You feel me? I rock with this kind of like, you know, I don't know. The bravado is definitely the word, but, you know, I don't really like, you know, cockiness, I guess. But I like this, like, yeah, bro, I can do this. You know, the self-belief. You know, I rock with self-belief. You know, even when it sounds absurd, you know, I can, you know, rock with self-belief. You know, a good bit.
That Lonzo was better than Steph Curry.
You think he can be as good as Steph Curry in the NBA?
Heck no! He's gonna be better than Steph Curry in the NBA.
Many people thought LeVar was annoying. Many others thought he was a marketing genius. And both camps were correct. Coming into the 2017 NBA draft, Lonzo was the most talked about prospect since LeBron James. And even though there were obvious flaws in his game, the Lakers bought into the hype and selected Lonzo with the second overall pick.
I told him he was gonna go to the Lake. I'm gonna speak it into existence.
With the Lakers, Lonzo became the youngest player ever to record a triple-double. But it was clear that the hype was unjustified. And after 2 seasons, he was traded. Once he was out of the spotlight, and when he stopped wearing those awful big baller brand shoes, Lonzo became one of the best 3-and-D point guards in the league.
Right when I switched my shoes, and all of a sudden, magically, I got good again.
Ferocious on-ball defense.
You talking about your family brand. Your family brand, you calling your family brand shoes buns, bro. Yeah, bro, them shoes was bad, man. Feel me? Dang, bro. I wonder how LeVar felt about that.
High basketball IQ, and finally, a real three-point shot. He was a star on merit. However, just as his career was peaking, Lonzo's body betrayed him. Knee surgery sidelined him for 3 years, and everybody thought his career was over. But then Lonzo achieved a medical miracle, becoming the first player ever to make a comeback after a cartilage and meniscus transplant.
I had to get actually a new meniscus from a donor. I had to get a bone allograft, and I had to get some new cartilage put in as well.
Still, even though
that sounds egregious. I wonder, how do you like become like so injury prone? Is that like genetics? What is that, bro? I feel like some players are extremely durable. Some players, bro, they get injured like crazy.
Could see
that surgery, those procedures sound hard.
Flashes of his old talent, Lonzo Ball was not the same player. In 2026, he was waived by the Jazz, and his NBA career is probably over. This is the rise and fall of Lonzo Ball, a superstar that never reached his full potential. Lonzo Ball was born in 1997 as the firstborn son of 6'6" LeVar and 6'1" Tina Ball, both former basketball players. His father's basketball career was unsuccessful. He averaged 2.2 points in 26 games at Washington State. After switching to football, he made practice squads for NFL teams, but was ultimately not good enough to make a team and go pro. But after those disappointments, LeVar poured all of his sporting ambitions into his sons.
Everything is a plan for me. I said, once I have my boys, I'm having them close together. We only need 3. 1 on each lane and 1 down the middle.
Lonzo, together with his younger brothers LiAngelo and LaMelo, started playing basketball at a young age. preparing for the NBA basically from the moment they were born. Zoe first held a little plastic basketball in his hands when he was 2 years old.
I had a little plastic hoop teaching Lanzo how to
Hey, y'all might be tripping. My bad for pausing. This look like Drake kind of.
Plastic basketball in his hands when he was 2 years old.
I had a little plastic hoop teaching Lanzo how to shoot on top of his head. He's my first son, so I spent a lot of time with him. And then once you make the first one good, the other ones just follow.
When he was 5, LeVar already had him doing push-ups, pull-ups, and uphill sprints at the nearby hills.
Right.
There was also a basketball court in their backyard, where Lanzo and his brothers took hundreds of shots every day. Lanzo played in his first league at the local YMCA when he was 6, and immediately realized that he was far more advanced than all the other kids his age. It was a bunch of kids just running around, traveling and fouling. Just pretty much reckless basketball, Ball said. I knew I was different because I was the only one dribbling and actually could shoot the ball. In the 4th grade, he started playing against 8th graders. And despite the age gap, Ball was the best player at his school. By middle school, Lanzo was already close to 6 feet tall. But even though he stood out physically among his peers, he also had a natural feel for the game, unlike anyone else. In the summer of 2010, when Lanzo was in 6th grade, the Chino Hills Huskies hosted an all-ages summer basketball camp, and the head coach, Steve Bake, was mesmerized by Lanzo. We finished the camp with some full-court scrimmaging, and he dribbled through a player and threw a full court-length bounce pass. Perfect timing, and it hit the guy perfectly in stride. As a 6th grader, I just knew at that moment this guy would potentially be an NBA player. Bake. 2 years later, Bake got the opportunity to coach Lanzo, who made the varsity team as a freshman. By then, Lanzo was already training like a pro, arriving 1 hour before each practice to run drills and shoot.
After he graduates, he literally comes to practice the next day, an hour and a half before practice starts. And he's in the gym shooting.
His feel for the game,
Bro, it's just like insane, bro. The amount of focus, bro. Like, bro is locked in on basketball, like, since birth, bro. Since birth. Like, this jump was meant to play out, bro. This jump was meant to play out, bro. It was meant to be like some LeBron James, Michael Jordan type of player, bro. But, damn, but sadly, I guess it just didn't come out that way.
unselfishness, and the ability to pretty much do everything on the floor were almost LeBron-like for such a young player. But Lanzo fully exploded as a 17-year-old when he reached his adult height of 6'6". In 2015, his junior season, Ball averaged 25 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, 5 blocks, and 5 steals per game, leading the Huskies to the state finals, where they lost after Lanzo fouled out of the game. More motivated than ever, Lanzo and Chino Hills returned with a vengeance, becoming arguably the most famous high school team of all time.
My senior year was like a movie. I mean, we had to move arenas to go to bigger places just because everything was sold out. People were like scoping tickets for like hundreds of dollars to go see high school kids.
Playing alongside his two brothers, the 17-year-old LiAngelo and 14-year-old LaMelo, Lanzo led the Huskies to a 35-0 record and the state championship.
Their undefeated team is ranked #1 in the entire country.
Chino Hills became a media sensation for their results and their style of play, which had never been seen before at any level. The Ball brothers were chucking threes from surreal distances, sometimes even from half court, playing their own
I remember that shot, bro. Oh my goodness. I remember when they was balling, bro. They were going absolutely nuclear, bro. And I have yet to see anything like that to this day, bro. To this day.
Version of pace and space basketball. Due to a blistering pace, Lanzo's outlet passes, and firing shots early in the shot clock, the Huskies averaged 98 points per game. And if you adjusted that to 48 minutes, they averaged 146 points, while the NBA average at the time was barely 110 points. In 2016, the Golden State Warriors went 73-9 and broke the NBA record for wins, outscoring opponents by 882 total points. Chino Hills outscored its opponents by 994 in 47 fewer games and tied the California state record for most 100-point games with 18 in what was one of the greatest seasons of amateur basketball ever. While his younger brother LaMelo became even more popular than him, especially after he scored 92 points in a game, Lanzo was the leader and by far the best player on Chino Hills, averaging a triple-double of 23.9 points, 11.3 rebounds, and 11.5 assists per game. Lanzo was named National Player of the Year by several different publications, and at the 2016 McDonald's All-American Game, he tied the record for most assists in a game with 13, even though he didn't score a single point. After his record-breaking senior season, Ball joined UCLA, and many people wondered if his style of play would translate to college basketball. But in his NCAA debut against Pacific, Lanzo quickly dismissed those concerns, with 19 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds. The Bruins went on a 13-game winning streak to open the season, and finished with a 31-5 record after going 15-17 the previous year. With 14.6 points and 7.6 assists per game, Ball led the nation in assists and transformed the Bruins into the top-scoring offense in the country. Lanzo also broke Gary Payton's 30-year-old conference record for most assists by a freshman. And with 55% shooting and 41% from three, he became the first Division I player since 1993 to make at least 70% of his two-point shots and 40% from deep. Lanzo led the Bruins to the
40%, I hear. I'm not like I said, I'm not like a big basketball guy, but like 40% from like 3-point range, bro, is like, that's really just like pro athlete level numbers type of thing, bro. It's hard to get those percentages.
Sweet 16, where they lost to De'Aaron Fox's Kentucky in a game where Fox scored 39 points, a tournament record for a freshman, while Lanzo strained his hand.
Is them hyper dunks? It looked like some kind of. But I had some hyper dunks.
Game where
back when I was hooping.
Fox scored 39 points, a tournament record for a freshman, while Lanzo strained his hamstring but played through it and was limping in the second half. Ball was voted as the top freshman in the country and was a finalist for the Wooden Award and the Naismith Player of the Year. And even though he had a funky-looking jumper, somehow it was going in, and there wasn't.
Bro, they were clowning this man jumper for like a long time, bro. He's shooting off the side of his head, bro. Like. He's shooting. Said I had a wonky ass jumper, but the jumper working for him.
Much to dislike about Lanzo's game. What he did better than anyone in college basketball was pushing the ball and getting it into the hands of shooters. His work ethic, his brilliant passing, and natural feel for the game, alongside his large frame, drew comparisons to Magic Johnson. And every NBA scout agreed that Lanzo would be a top 3 pick in the draft.
To be honest, I ain't never worked like on my pass. My dad telling me, before you dribble, always look up. And if it's open, throw it every single time, bro.
However, his biggest fan, and by far the loudest, was his father, LeVar. By the time Lanzo finished his college career, LeVar went on an unprecedented media tour with preposterous claims about himself and his 3 sons. With multiple,
he just had to sit there and listen to his dad, beef his head up like that, bro. I will say, but that's one of the flaws of letting people speak for you, man. You don't never want to let nobody talk for you.
Full appearances on First Take and several other high-profile shows.
All of a sudden, niggas hating you off the strength of your dad.
LeVar grabbed the national spotlight, and he used his son's fame to promote himself and his business, the Big Baller brand.
Have you sold any shoes yet?
Yeah, I sold a good amount.
How many?
Stay in your lane.
And after Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour all passed on Lanzo for shoe deals, LeVar released $495 Big Baller brand sneakers named Zo 2.
Now everybody's talking about the price tag. $495.
I wouldn't pay $495 for the greatest Michael Jordan shoe.
It turns into a joke with the price.
Yeah, the freak they would. Niggas is paying for almost $500 for some J's, bro.
Which proved to be extremely unstable and unreliable, causing injuries to Lanzo.
Demo had a backpack, and he had extra 4 pairs of shoes in there, because I had to switch them every quarter, because they would just rip. Right when I switched my shoes, and all of a sudden, magically, I got good again.
But because of his high profile and potential, Lanzo's draft stock was extremely high.
Lonzo should be number 1 because he's the only player in the draft that can make everybody else around him better.
And nobody was too surprised when the Lakers drafted him with the 2nd overall pick.
With the 2nd pick in the 2017 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select Lonzo Ball from UCLA.
I'm trying to tell you, I knew this was happening before it was happening.
When did you get this hat made?
When he was a baby.
Ball was drafted ahead of 6 future All-Stars.
At this rate, he says birth, nigga.
Jason Tatum, De'Aaron Fox, Bam Adebayo, Donovan Mitchell, Lauri Markkanen, and Jared Allen. However, it looked like the Lakers made the right choice, as Lanzo got named the Summer League MVP after averaging 16.3 points, 9.3 assists, 7.7 rebounds, 2.5 steals, and 1 block per game. But when the actual season started, Lanzo had a target on his back. In his Lakers debut, Ball had a welcome to the NBA moment against Patrick Beverley, who wanted to prove to the world that Lanzo was overhyped.
I just have to set the tone.
Hater.
Oh man, due to
There's some hater ass shit. Well, if you're a real nigga like that, bro, you can play through the hate, bro. You can play through the hate and not let it get under your skin. But this dub is some hating ass shit, nigga. Fuck this nigga.
all the riffraff is his dad brings that he's gonna get a lot of people coming at him. He has to be ready for that.
And Ball struggled indeed, shooting just 1 for 6 from the field and scoring only 3 points.
LeVar is writing checks that Lonzo's got to cash.
However, in the very next game, Lonzo dazzled with 29 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists, 1 assist shy of a triple-double. But we wouldn't have to wait long for it to happen. On November 11th, in his 13th NBA game, Ball scored 19 points, 13 assists, and 12 rebounds in a 98-90 loss against the Bucks, becoming the youngest player at the time to achieve a triple-double at the age of 20 years and 15 days old, breaking LeBron's record by 5 days. On November 19th, Lonzo recorded his second triple-double with 11 points, 16 rebounds, and 11 assists in a 127-109 win over the Nuggets, becoming just the 5th player with a triple-double in his first 20 games. However, despite his knack for rebounding and excellent court vision, Lonzo struggled with his shot. As a rookie, he made only 36% of his field goals, 30% of his threes, and a horrendous 45% of his free throws.
So he's struggling with, bro.
Due to his shooting struggles, the Lakers coach Luke Walton gave him less playing time, which wasn't well received by LeVar, who publicly protested against the coach.
What's my biggest issue with Luke Walton is the way he plays my son. Now, if you don't have a system or you don't understand what you're getting ready to do, you're not going to win.
We're not concerned with what parents think of how we're coaching the team.
Because of shoulder and knee injuries, Ball missed 30 games of the season, but he still made all-rookie second team, averaging 10.2 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 7.2 assists. In the offseason, Lonzo had a knee surgery on his left meniscus, and when he returned, he was physically stronger than ever. But with the arrival of LeBron James, Lonzo wasn't the biggest story in town anymore. And because Rajon Rondo also arrived, Ball's minutes and numbers decreased from his rookie year. However, the added bulk made him a better defender, and he became one of the most dynamic on-ball defenders in the NBA. On offense, he had to adjust to playing off the ball more with LeBron on the team. But on December 15th, in a 128-100 win against the Charlotte Hornets, Ball and James became the first teammates to achieve a triple-double in the same game, since Jason Kidd and Vince Carter did it in 2007, with Lonzo posting 16 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. In a January game against the Rockets, Lonzo suffered a high ankle sprain that sidelined him for the rest of the season. And in his sophomore season, he was averaging 9.9 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 5.4 assists in 47 games. That game against Houston turned out to be
he wearing them big baller brand shoes, man.
His final in LA, as the Lakers orchestrated a long overdue trade with the Pelicans for Anthony Davis.
The Pelicans have agreed to finally trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers. Now here's the compensation package. Everybody's wondering, what would they give up?
Lonzo was sent to New Orleans along with Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and picks.
I told you, they let go of the best thing they had going for them.
By the time he arrived in New Orleans, Lonzo was considered a bust. Not in a Darko Milicic, Kwame Brown way, but he certainly didn't fulfill expectations, especially when it came to shooting. During his 99 games for the Lakers, Lonzo was shooting 38% from the field and 44% from the free throw line, which at the time was the second worst mark in history, something that's unfathomable for a point guard. However, before the start of his third NBA season, Lonzo worked hard and changed the mechanics of his jump shot. And even though his field goal percentage was still fairly bad, barely exceeding 40%, while he made only 56% on free throws, his three-pointers finally started dropping, as Ball made 38% behind the three-point line. But overall, Lonzo improved in every area. His defense, playmaking, and rebounding took an extra step forward, and he finished the season averaging 11.8 points.
I wonder, bro, what the freak happened, man. I wonder what causes this kind of thing, bro. I feel like, I don't know, bro. I feel like it could be like injuries, messing with like the mental aspect of the game, bro. And it could be, the mental aspect of the game, bro. Cause like LaMelo and Lonzo pretty much like, grew up balling together or whatever. And LaMelo doing his thing, and you can tell, bro, he don't give a fuck about nothing, bro. And he play like it, bro. He's so fun to watch. And My assumption is I haven't looked at the numbers or nothing like that, but I feel like he playing a lot better than like Lonzo is playing. I feel like Lonzo, it's like a lot on his shoulders. You feel me? Definitely. He like the oldest. He the oldest one, and he got like a lot. High expectations set for him. So like he got like a lot to carry, and definitely weight on him is what I feel like it could be, bro.
Points, 6.1 rebounds, and 7 assists. In the following season, Ball had the best scoring season of his career, averaging 14.6 points per game, while his shooting percentages finally resembled a point guard. Lonzo made 41% of his shots, including 38% from deep and 78% on free throws, a career high. However, for the 21-22 season, Lonzo was on the move again. In a sign-and-trade deal, he was sent to Chicago, where he signed a 4-year, $80 million contract. Nobody thought of him as a superstar anymore, and his move to Chicago went largely unnoticed. But with the Bulls, Lonzo played the best ball of his career. Paired with Alex Caruso, Ball looked like the best defensive point guard in the NBA. At 6'6" with a sturdy frame, 6'9" wingspan, and mobile feet, Lonzo was a menace for opposing guards. His 1.8 steals and 0.9 blocks were career highs. And on top of his great defense, Lonzo was finally an offensive threat. He made 42% of his threes, which was the 5th best mark in the league. And because 70% of his shots were three-pointers, Lonzo's effective field goal percentage stood at 57%, which is elite. However, Lonzo's playmaking was what set him apart from all the other 3-and-D players in the league. Most 3-and-D guys are usually wings who stand in the corner and wait for the ball. But Lonzo was dangerous with the ball in his hand, making quick reads and great decisions, both in transition and half-court offense. The Bulls had a 25-10 record, were on an 8-game win streak, and were sitting at the top of the Eastern Conference. But then, in a game against the Warriors, Lonzo suffered a meniscus tear on his left knee and was initially scheduled to return in 1 month.
Timeline is 6 to 8 weeks. It could be shorter, so this is certainly a significant blow for this team.
But little did everyone know that this would be the last meaningful game of Lonzo Ball's career.
Yeah, and I finally got the perfect team. That injury messed me up early just because I felt like we really had a chance and never got to see what it was.
After the initial surgery, Lonzo felt discomfort in his knee and was ruled out of the season.
I can't run or jump, so even the doctors are a little surprised about it a little bit.
Ahead of the 22-23 season, Ball underwent arthroscopic debridement, a surgical treatment that extracts any loose material that may be in the knee joint and can smooth the surfaces inside the knee. Another season was lost. On March 16, 2023, Lonzo found a donor to transplant cartilage and meniscus in his knee, a surgery that no NBA player ever had done before. In June 2023, Bulls Vice President Arturas Karnisovas said the team did not expect him to play in the 23-24 season. By then, everyone had forgotten about Lonzo, thinking that he'd never play basketball again.
I just leave it up to God, man.
And the team paying him 80 M's for I think it was 4 years for his contract.
Just do the best I can and live with the results, bro.
But miraculously, after more than 2.5 years and over 1,000 days away from the game, Lonzo was ready for the 24-25 season opener.
1,000 days. The journey has been amazing. It's been a long one, but a lot of people have been with me, supporting me.
He received a warm welcome from the crowd and ended up with 5 points, 2 rebounds, and 4 assists in 14 minutes against the Pelicans. On January 12, 2025, he made his first start in nearly 3 years, scoring 15 points and 3 assists in a 124-119 loss to the Kings. And 2 weeks later, he put up a season-high 18 points in a win over the Nuggets. Even though he lost a bit of his athleticism, Lonzo's defense and IQ were still there.
I feel like I can still compete at a high level. That's why I wanted to come back. That's why I'm back, and that's why I'm playing.
As he averaged 7.6 points, 3.4 assists, and 3.3 rebounds in 22 minutes of play across 35 games. After the season, the Bulls gave him a 2-year, $20 million contract. But in the offseason, they traded him to Cleveland for Isaac Okoro. In the 2026 season, Lonzo appeared in 35 games for the Cavs, but it was clear that the injuries had taken their toll and that the Bulls had given him that contract prematurely. Lonzo shot just 30% from the field and 27% from 3, and after only 35 games, the Cavs traded him to Utah, where he was quickly waived and played not a single minute for the Jazz. At 28 years old, his career is probably over, as most teams will view Lonzo as damaged goods. The oldest Ball brother had one of the most unusual careers in NBA history. He went from a superstar to a bust, and then to a phenomenal role player, all in a span of 5 years. If he were able to stay healthy, Lanzo would be a perfect third or fourth option on a championship contender. He was never supposed to get drafted that high, but if you look at him through the lens of a role player, Ball did everything.
But that's crazy, bro. My nigga definitely deserved his spot that he was drafted in, bro.
At an elite level, from defense, playmaking, and three-point shooting. In his prime, he was like Rajon Rondo with a good three-point shot. But it's a shame that his prime only lasted for a couple of months before he got injured. Still, despite the relative disappointment of his career, for a period of 6 months during 2017, Lonzo Ball was arguably the biggest name in basketball, or the most talked about at least. Thank you for watching.
Dang, bro, that's so unfortunate, bro. Dang, man. Dang, man, my dog career is like smoke, bro. You know what I'm saying? I would have loved to see my dog get a ring, man, definitely. But, you know, sometimes, you know, your career, whatever, doesn't pan out the way that you thought it would, bro. And, you know, that happens sometimes, bro. Gotta take those on the chin. But he still made it to the league, man. There's still a whole lot of, you know, silver lines out here, bro, with his career and things of that nature, bro. But I hope you enjoyed this video, bro. Let me know what you think in the comments, bro. I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. Peace.